Discovery, roger. Go for deploy.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Adventure Fit Radio. Today we have a chat with a lovely Lamey.
You're Lamey. Lamey Kerr.
A lovely lady.
Lovely lady.
Named Amy Clover.
That's Tuft. Tuft. A lovely lady named Amy Clover. Try to say that twice in a row.
A lovely lady named Amy Clover. 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 A lovely lady named Amy Clover.
Well, that wasn't twice, but yeah, it's fair enough.
I thought it would be tough, but it wasn't that tough.
Seashells by the seashore.
She sells seashells by the seashore. Fuck.
Pet. Peter Piper picked a bag of Peter.
Peter Piper picked a pinky finger up his bum.
Yeah, that's true. Peter, yeah.
Anyway,
okay,
so
good.
Today's episode is with Amy Clover. Amy's, she is a strength and conditioning fitness chick, but she mixes in mindset and psychology with her training. She came from a background of trying to or close to self-harm and depression and anxiety.
And OCD.
And a really bad OCD. And she came out of that, and then she's started a new life, and now she helps people and helps get people out of the position that she found herself in. So she was so lovely. Tommy crept her out right from the start. She dropped the husband line, first line, just to make us know, look, boys, hang on a second.
We're not on here, pal. Even though I'm over here in the US. No dick pics.
No, it was good. It was a good chat. This show is brought to you by Audible. Head to audible.com, guys, for all the world's biggest range of audiobooks. It is one of the greatest resources you will ever find.
Best app out there.
Head to www.audible.com/ADVF for your free month and free audiobook. We're also brought to you by Carve. Head to www.carve.ph/ADVF and get 10 hours free on any and all projects. Carve is a VA service, guys. You can upskill your business or take some time back in your life, get some time back in your life by using these guys. I use them for 2 assistants with travel. Me and Tommy we have 1 assistant with radio. It's a great service. You'll love it. www.carve.ph/ADVF. And also, guys, we're brought to you by Adventure Fit Travel. So what we're doing at the moment with Adventure Fit Travel is we've been in discussions with numerous gyms around the world. Now, working on our rewards program. So how that works is you refer some of your clients, they get a discount code, and then the referrer gets cash rebates, or he or she gets a nice discount on their trips. And we're actually dealing with a few gyms that are sorting out custom trips for their community, and then the gym owner will go for free. So it's a really easy sell. If you guys want to look into that yourselves, you can email me directly at doc@adventurefittravel.com, and we can go down the path of getting you some free holidays and getting your community over to an awesome part of the world.
Hummuses.
Free hummus. All right, guys. Here is Amy. Alrighty, guys. Today we have Amy Clover with us all the way from the US of A. Before we throw to Amy, we are going to, as usual, start us off with Tommy's tribute.
When you are shit and you don't like who you are, just like everyone else, this world is bizarre. But then there's Amy, and she's here to help. 'Cause she's really fucking special. And she won't make you yelp. 'Cause you're not a creep. You are something. You should love who you are. You are not bizarre.
That's amazing.
Welcome.
Oh, shit.
Oh my god.
That's the best
It's
response
even
we've had.
better that it was to Radiohead. That makes my fucking life.
That's so good.
Oh, that's awesome. Good stuff. Thanks for coming on the show, Amy. And yeah, that was a good start. Well done, Tommy.
Thank you.
That's the best result we've had.
Yeah.
Normally there's either a really awkward pause
Yeah.
or a beep.
Yeah, that's right. Or never.
So awesome.
Amy, so thanks for coming on the show. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So thank you so much for having me. That was definitely the best intro I have ever had in my entire life.
That's great.
My name is Amy Clover, and I head up a site called Strong Inside Out, where I help people combine both physical and mental wellness for an all-around well-being. So I help people become stronger than their struggle. And I developed this website out of my own struggles with clinical depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, anxiety, eating disorders. I've got the whole gamut of disorders. And so I like to just talk about everything because we all have struggles, even if you don't have a labeled disorder, and really help people rise above that with the use of both fitness, mindset reframing, and just taking action.
Awesome. So if you want to, do you want to, I've read a bit about your story, obviously followed it online and so forth. Do you want to tell us about some of what got you to where you are?
Sure, I'd love to. Yeah. So in high school, I was really like feeling just super different. So I really have like for all of my life. I was kind of like the punk rock raver kid. Believe it or not, that is a thing, to be a hybrid punk rock raver. It's called cyberpunk. I just realized like last year.
Cool.
I had no idea what it was called. But
You didn't realize you had a genre. You didn't realize you had a gang.
I had no idea. It's a thing. So I was one of those, and I was just kind of like, I felt really different, and I couldn't understand why I had so many of these really deep emotions and why they were getting so much worse. But I was always taught that, because of the stigma, you don't talk about emotions, you just get through them. You just power through them, pretend they're not happening. So that happened for a while until I just couldn't handle it anymore. And I went to my mom and I was like, there's something wrong. I don't understand what's going on with me. And I finally got diagnosed with clinical depression and obsessive compulsive disorder. And so that made a lot of sense why I couldn't walk down the hallways without touching a certain amount of lockers on the way down. I couldn't read a book without flipping it a certain way, touching corners while I did it. It was really like a lot to handle at that age when all you want is just to not be made fun of, especially as somebody who was bullied when I was younger. So I still did not learn my lesson at that point. I just held it in because I just didn't want to give bullies another reason to make fun of me. And so I held it in and held it in and held it in until I just exploded. And then I could not control any of my emotions at all. I would have outbursts in the middle of class. I would yell at teachers. I was just so angry that nobody could understand because I couldn't speak up for myself. So I lashed out at a lot of people. And this kind of cycle just kept going around and around into college, like not talking about it, getting worse, not talking about it, getting worse, until in my early 20s, I just hit a point where I was using drugs and alcohol. I was hanging out with the wrong kinds of friends. And I just didn't want to fight anymore. I didn't want to hang in here for this life that I thought was this life sentence, that I was always going to be so miserable. And so I held a knife to my wrist, and my roommate found me in the kitchen, and she begged me to call for help. So I called an ex-boyfriend who I was still really close to at that time. And he begged me to call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And that's what saved my life.
Wow.
Was somebody there. And they asked me, if you don't feel better tomorrow, please go to the emergency room. And I don't know what I expected the next morning when I went to the emergency room, because I definitely did not expect to be put into a psych ward against my will. But looking back on it now, that would be the logical thing that you would think that they would do if you say suicide. They put you there. But I think it was just really divine intervention that took that out of my head and just got me in there. because it's really what I needed. Even though it was the most angry I've ever been in my entire life, being forced somewhere against my will. And when I was in the hospital, when all my choices were stripped from me, you don't get to choose if you take medication. You don't get to choose what time you wake up. You don't get to choose when you go to the bathroom or if you go alone. All of these things that were stripped from me, I started to finally realize that maybe I had these choices out in my real life that I hadn't been taken advantage of. Maybe there was hope for me to live in a different way. I just had never tried because I just took everybody's word for it that clinical depression was a life sentence, that OCD was just going to rule my life for the rest of it. And so when I got back out into real life, I started trying and failing a freaking lot. Like I failed over and over and over again. I tried a lot of different things that had, quote unquote, worked for some of other people I had talked to or some of my friends, and they just crashed me and burned me. And so it took me a lot of things and practicing a lot of things to realize that the combination of therapy and fitness helped me hold on to a lot of the changes that I was wanting to make in my life and helped me feel stronger inside the gym and out. So it was from there that I became a personal trainer and that I wanted to start bringing in more mental aspects of the training with my clients. And I started the blog Strong Inside Out. And then I left personal training in order to devote my time to Strong Inside Out. And now I'm a motivational speaker. I'm a coach, I'm a teacher, and I'm hosting my very first retreat this May in Costa Rica.
Awesome.
Wow.
Sounds amazing. So, alrighty. So, Strong Inside and Out. Let's just, what are some of the things that you would do that did help you? So you've been through the lowest of lows, and obviously you said fitness was one of the things that got you out of there. And what were the other things that went alongside with the fitness that went hand in hand in being able to change your mindset and make you a genuinely happier person?
I finally found a therapist that I liked. I think that was one of the number one things for me. And I got on medication that brought me to a foundation to actually get out of bed for the day, because believe it or not, that was a win back when I first started this journey. My depression was so bad that getting out of bed was a freaking win for the day. And so it had to start there for me to get here. So just getting on the medication that allowed me to get to that foundation where I could do that was very helpful. Finding a therapist I liked and that I resonated with was really helpful. And then I swear by mantras. I now teach a mantra-based boot camp here in San Diego, and I teach also across the world at different retreats that people have me at and stuff like that, where I combine intention setting affirmations along with movement. And what I really found for me, I kind of found it by accident, because one of my kickboxing teachers used to use affirmations. He used to yell while we were doing punching drills and stuff like that. I can and I will. I can and I will. And I started saying that to myself, and I was like, yeah, I can and I will. Like this is actually happening. And I would hold on to that feeling past class. And I found that it really helped me to pump myself up. And it's really funny that I'm a motivational speaker now, because back when I was like the cyberpunk in high school, it was just like the ultimate like no, like those positive people were not who like I wanted to be when I grew up. So I think teenage me would punch me in the face. But anyway, affirmations really helped me to hold on to that strength that I was feeling when I was in the gym, long beyond leaving the gym. So they helped me like throughout every difficult part of my life.
Right. And so when you first got onto the medication, was that something that you at the time recognized would just be sort of a temporary thing so that you could start to get back into life and then work off getting that? Or did they get you onto the medication thinking this is going to be something that you're going to need for a while?
I've been on very many different medications. So some of them, yeah, they put me on thinking that it would be a lifetime thing. A lot of them, actually, I think that I went into it thinking, if anything helps, it's worth it. Because I had such a hard time functioning. It was really hard to just function, to like be like a normal person out in the real world with how bad my OCD was. So I think I went into it thinking that I would be on it for life. And I'm one of the people out there that thinks that medication is a great thing for a lot of people. It's a really personal thing. There's a lot of stigma around it. And there's a lot of people that say, oh, medication is bad and blah, blah, blah. But I think that, nobody lives in you. You really have to make that decision for yourself. If it's going to help you be a fuller version of yourself, then I think it might be a good move for you. I think that when we lean on medication in order to solve our entire lives for us and not take action, that might be a problem. But I think that when medication helps you to take action, it can be a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with medication helping you to take action as opposed to you leaning on it as a crutch for life. But I think some people sort of get a little bit hazy between the two. I used to have OCD as well, actually. It's a real pain in the ass, hey?
Yeah. It can be.
I have a family member who has OCD, and it's such a pain in her day because she won't allow any family members to enter the house without having a shower in the garage downstairs. And she's had it all her life because we have a history of mental illness in my family, and it's interesting. It's really interesting the medication thing because so many people. I've had so many friends. I've had some mental issues myself. I've never been on medication, but I've had lots of friends who have really highly recommended it to me. I have a friend who, one of my best friends, who is the only friend that I've ever worried about self-harming himself. The only friend that I've ever thought, we have to really actually keep an eye on old mate. I won't mention his name. And he's now started medication, and he's the best version of himself he's ever been. Yeah. It's so refreshing to not have to.
Great.
Not have to worry about him. And, I was hassling him to meditate and gratitude journal and do all these things, which he never did. He hasn't done, So I think there's still probably room for him to try and maybe not have medication and try and, but yeah, it's been a really positive impact so far for him. But
my biggest thing was all that sort of stuff. Like just I never got onto medication because personally I just didn't want to. And I still, what I think is really interesting is just the change in mindset I have now, like with, I'm just a completely different person to who I was when I had all that anxiety and OCD. And it's the thing of like, I'll still occasionally get a thought here and there about that sort of stuff, but I don't react to it anxiously anymore. It's like kind of just a change in mindset. But it's like, oh, that's a funny thought. And like the more you hold that resistance to those thoughts is the more that those sort of, breakaways off just really what is anxiety can happen. But it's just, I really feel like all those things can be changed really quickly if you just change the way you look at them,
Yeah, I think it's such a complex process and it's so individual for each person. I think it really takes like getting into the support system you need to really find out what is the right move for you. I think that, all of our journeys, like just the three of us here, have been so different. I think finding what works for you is going to take a little guess and check. And I do agree with you when you say the resistance makes it worse. It really does. When we judge the anxiety that we're having or the depression that we're having and say we're not supposed to feel this way, it just gets worse. What would it be like just to sit in it and say, this is what's present with me and that's okay? Yeah,
that's right, for sure. Yep.
So how do positive affirmations actually work? Because is it similar to for me? I gratitude journal every morning, 3 things. Tommy kind of got me onto that actually, and I feel like that is a really really positive impact in my day because it's just reinforcing positivity at the start of the day. Does it work the same? And how do you actually put mantras in place? Is it just like you said with when you're actually training, or do you have like a morning ritual where you'll give yourself positive mantras to follow? Or
what are mantras in general to kick it off?
Yeah. Let's give the whole mantra lowdown here today.
Yeah. So have a mantra sesh.
Yeah, mantra sesh. I sing a lot. I hope that's okay. I hope your listeners are okay with that.
Yeah. That's totally fine. So do we.
I'm highly offended by
it. Awesome. This is fun. So mantras are basically like short affirmations, like an empowering phrase or sentence or word, whatever works for you, that helps lock you into that empowered space. So for me, one of the ones that I just started with was yes, I can. And it was talking back to that voice in me that says you can't, you shouldn't, all of those things, that resistance basically that we were just talking about, that keeps us back and keeps us from growing and keeps us from changing in a positive direction. So what worked for me was starting these mantras while I actually did my workouts. So if I was lifting heavy, say I was doing deadlifts that day, right before I started my deadlift, yes, I can. Yes, I can. Just in your head. You don't have to say it out loud if that makes you uncomfortable. Sometimes I do. And then while you're doing it through the struggle, becoming aware of that struggle, and then talking back to that struggle, talking yourself into the action that you want to take, talking yourself into the energy that you want to have with that mantra. And so what you'll find is when you do that with your workouts, and I actually teach people how to do this with my Strong Inside Out Bootcamp, which is my workout program for depression and anxiety. I have mantra-based led workouts in that actual program. So you can do it along with me so you can learn how to do it for yourself. But you can also do this out in real life when you have these struggles out in real life. Say you're really struggling with depression, you're struggling to get out of bed. If you can just take some deep breaths, lean into the discomfort that you're feeling right now and just say, yes, I can. Yes, I can. Maybe I can just be committed to getting up for 10 minutes, just starting with 10 minutes and then seeing what that leads to. And if I want to get back in bed, that's okay because it's better than not getting up at all. Just things like that. Just starting there and just keeping it simple and being gentle on yourself with it.
That's really interesting. So what about what are some of the other things that you try and implement with your clients? Obviously, training is a big part, getting the endorphins flowing and getting maybe a more positive image of themselves. What other things do you think are really important to change that vicious cycle that people seem to get themselves into?
I think awareness is key, knowing exactly what you're coming up against, knowing exactly what the repetitive thoughts are that come up in you, what the anxiety is, what your triggers are, is really, really important. And then knowing how to talk to yourself. So this is like something that we've mentioned a couple times on this call already, but just really being gentle with yourself, because our tendency is to really just like gung-ho say we're not enough, be disappointed in ourselves, judgmental of ourselves, tell ourselves we should be better. All of these things that are learned things that aren't true, that don't come from the truth of who we are, but are things that we think the society demands on us. So really being aware of those things, those things that don't feel aligned with you, that make you feel bad about yourself, and knowing that they're not you, that they're parts of this darkness that has come in to take your power away. And that's been really helpful for me, is to externalize it in that way, to externalize the depression, the anxiety, OCD, all of the things that take my power away as this almost this like entity that comes into me and says, oh no, I get to rule you now. Rebel me will have none of that. And I found that a lot of my clients feel the same way. They're like, oh no one's going to tell me what to do. This darkness is not going to tell me what to do. When we can externalize it like that, I actually tell people to give it a name. Mine's is Larry. So Larry comes in and he tells me what to do. And I'm like, no, Larry, you don't get to do that for me. I get to call the shots for myself. And so externalization is really helpful for that as well.
Hey, gang, just going to break it up, talk to you about some of our sponsors. Now, you may not be aware. I may not be aware. Bill may not be aware. Who's aware these days anyway, you know? But people have sponsors. You know why? Sponsors help people. You want to know why they help people? Financially speaking. That's right, yo. Oh, shit. So we are sponsored by Audible. Audible is my favorite iPhone application in the world because I get to learn off it. So I've been reading, what have I been reading? Jeez, actually, Bill got me onto a book called Pitch Anything. It's a little book talking about sealing the deal in marketing and getting raises and all that sort of stuff. Also been reading Elon Musk's book. It's a great, I've completely lost what I was trying to say. Basically, the app, guys, is just, so it's audio books. You can download the book and someone, usually the author, actually reads it back to you. And it's just, when you're on the go, it's a lot easier than getting a paper book out and going through the pages, as opposed to just having it in your ears and having someone who's obviously passionate about the subject actually read it to you. And that's why I love it. Like I said, been reading Elon Musk's book, been reading Pitch Perfect, which is not the name of the book. So if you want to jump on Audible, guys, head to www.audible.com. You can use our promo code, which is ADVF. So head to
www.audible.com/ADVF.
I was about to say that. So
it's not a promo code, though, mate. It's a link.
www.audible.com/ADVF. Bill sucks. And jump on. You'll get a free audiobook per month when you sign up. It's really good.
No, you won't.
You will.
You'll get a free audiobook in your first month, and then you won't get any more free.
But then you keep getting the single-ons.
Nah, you have to pay for that, mate.
You sure?
You pay $15.
Well, that's why the 10 grand goes out every year.
You get one free book, and then you have to pay for the service.
Yes. So that's why. So basically, if you want to lose $1 million a month,
your weakest read yet, mate.
I forgot about it all. Moving on. Carve. Talk to me, Carve.
We're also brought to you by Carve, guys. Carve are a VA service, so if you want to get some help in your business, you want to get some help to do more work, achieve more things, upscale your business, or if you want to just outsource some of the stuff that you don't need to be doing, then head to Carve. Carve are a great resource over in the Philippines. They have full-time assistants. I've put many people onto a full-time assistant now, and they love it. Or they have pay-by-the-hour part-time work that you can outsource as well. So if you want to check them out, all you need to do is go to www.carve.ph/ADVF. Use our link there and you'll get 10 hours free. If you want any advice about how to use the assistance or any questions about how it works, feel free to email me at doc@adventurefittravel.com and I can help you out there. Here is the show again. It's kind of like the dare response that you
absolutely
it's
exactly what he says.
Get around, Tommy. Have you read is the book called Dare?
It's called The Dare. Yeah, it's called Dare or The Dare Response by Barry McDonough.
Have you read that book, Amy?
No, I have not.
It's I listened to it. I listened to it once. Tommy's read it 4 times, I think. Haven't you?
Yeah, I've read it 4 times. Read it 4 times.
And the whole premise is when you get a rush of anxiety or you get a rush of negative emotions, that you say exactly what you said. That this is basically a major tenet of his response is bring it on. What is that? The worst you've got? Is that the worst thought you can give me? You think that's going to ruin my day?
Awesome.
And then kind of challenge it, and then it's kind of like why don't you can explain a bit? What is it's an acronym, right?
DARE is an acronym for Defuse. God, I've got something in my throat here. Anxiety. Yeah, that's right. So DARE is an acronym for Defuse, Allow, Run Towards, and then Engage. So let's say you get a thought, and it just becomes subconscious now. But if you get a thought, oh shit, what if I turn the car off the road and drown everyone in who's sitting in the back seat? So you diffuse it, you go, oh, that's a funny thought. So you recognize it's there, you allow it by going, yeah, that would be really shit house, as opposed to going, oh shit, imagine if I did this, and like holding the stress. You just allow it, just recognize it. Yeah, it's just a thought like any other thought that apparently, so Barry says that apparently we have something like 50,000 thoughts a day, and anxiety as an emotion is just comes on because it's how we react to it, But anyway, I'll go on with the acronym anyway. Run Towards is if it gets really, really intense, you make it as bad as possible. So, you sort of get into the mindset that you're totally in control, because if you can make it really bad, then you can make it really good. So if you're running towards it, you're going, yeah, what if I did turn off the car? And, I also, when they're all, I don't know, it's just off the top of my head, but, they're all dead in the water and I do something sexual with them and then...
Tommy, come on, man.
Sorry, no, but this is like...
No, fair enough.
Barry says that a lot of people have sexually anxious thoughts as well.
Right.
Like a lot of people have that stuff. This happens, then a shark comes, like, just make it really, really bad. And,
shark with laser beams on its head.
Yeah, shark with laser beams, and then we start having sex with the shark, and then it all. So you make it. Yeah, that's right. You make it really, really, really bad, and then when you made it really, really bad, and you've started just to notice that it's just coming off a little bit, then you engage. So then you engage back with whatever you were doing, because I think anxious people, because I don't have it. Oh, let's say I was an 8 out of 10 before. I'm probably now a 2 out of 10 in terms of stress levels. I'm just really good now, but Back in the day, I think the biggest thing that I would always do was constantly check back in with my anxiety and go, oh, is it okay? Is it okay? And I think staying productive and engaging back with life is a key element that a lot of people forget there. But what I like most about it is the what I was saying before about control it, because a lot of people think that to get, or they look at Buddhist monks or they look at people that are very stress free and they look at all these sorts of people and they're like, oh, wouldn't it be great if you could just control your thoughts? And it's actually not you can't do that. You can't control thoughts that come into your head, because, like I said, you have 50,000 of them, whatever, a day. What you can control is how you react to those thoughts, and then obviously the subsequent emotion that goes along with that. And we get that all the time throughout our day. We'll have with someone that blocks us off on the road, and we have a thought, it's like, oh, what a fuckwit, and then we get angry. So that's there's no difference between that and having a thought and then subsequently getting anxious. But it's just that anxiety as an emotion can just send you down this spiral like no other emotion. I've never experienced, anger regression, but I'm assuming it's not great. But
you've never experienced anger.
As in a management, something that I've needed to work on. But I'm assuming it's not great. But yeah, it really is what that book talks about. Is just it really explains what anxiety actually is, and it's actually not that big of a deal. I really feel like anxiety and depression are really these two words that are just, this person's got anxiety or this person's got depression. It's no difference between saying, oh, this person's got happiness or this person's got sadness. It's just something that's...
it's an emotion you create.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely an emotion. Yeah. Anyway.
Amy?
What are your thoughts? So, you need to have sex with Lace
I wanted to make sure I could hear everything you were saying.
Yeah. Hello, you still there?
Yeah, I am.
We lost her.
I'm just wrapped. My attention is wrapped.
Yeah, that's good. Anxiety.
No, I think anxiety trigger. Let's just call it out every time it happens.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I think there's a lot of truth to that. I really love. I'm going to check out the Dare response for sure. That sounds really interesting. Something else that helps me, and kind of on that same spectrum, is I follow the fear all the way through, and this really helped me with my OCD behaviors. When I finally got the courage to start working on my OCD behaviors, like a lot of the old ones that had just stuck around and I'd learned to live with, I realized with my therapist that a lot of the things that I was doing out of old fears that I didn't even believe in anymore. That weren't even things that I developed when I was a kid. That just had no connection at all to reality. And so I would just go down the line of the fear. Okay, if I don't do this, then what happens? Okay, if that happens, then what would I do in order to move forward? And really going down that instead of saying, oh my gosh, I'm afraid of that. No, stay away. Don't think about it. Stop thinking about it. It makes it worse when we really resist it, like we were talking about before. But if we actually turn around and look at the fear and say, okay, fear, I acknowledge that you're here for sure. And then just talking to it and kissing it on the nose. Kissing your monster on the nose is what my therapist likes to call it. And I've stolen that from her. She's so amazing. And just going down the rabbit hole of it and just realizing that wherever you end up, even if it's worst case scenario, you would be able to handle it and you would move forward from it. You would learn from it. Everything that's ever happened to you that's been bad, you've learned from it and gotten better from it.
Yep. So
really looking at that has also really helped me. And that's similar to the Dare response. Not quite the same though.
Actually, I really like that one. That sort of ties in as well to how people kind of have these habits they go through in life and they don't even realize where they've stemmed from. I used to have this huge fear of ghosts as a kid. And, not just as a kid. I mean, when we first started doing the show, I still had a bit of a fear of ghosts.
Like 22,
22, a couple of years ago. One year ago.
Baby.
Yeah. Quite young. But still a man.
He's still a creep. He's still a creep, don't worry.
Yeah, that's right.
He's a creepy baby.
I'm 23 now, so,
Just kidding.
But, I would always have like these habits, I should never look under your bed and all this sort of stuff. And when I started going through all this, anxiety road and started to meditate and become much more self-aware about the stuff I was doing, I'd recognize these little habits that I took on from a kid and even stuff for a little bit later in life. And I realized that they weren't even, don't even know why I did it, but they were just for little fears that I had that I don't even have anymore, And then all of a sudden I could start to sleep with my feet dangling off the bed, for example. And it was just all good.
Oh my gosh, it's one of mine too.
Yeah. Really, it's weird, that one.
You need to get a bigger bed, man.
Yeah, I need a bigger bed. Yeah. It's embarrassing. So,
you need to get out of the single bed.
Yeah, I still sleep in a cot. Anxiety again. Okay, we're going to stop making that gag. That's not good.
So why don't you tell us a story, Amy, about somebody. You don't have to mention the name.
Tell
obviously.
Tell us
a story about. Tell us your favourite bedtime story. No, sorry. In all seriousness, tell us a story. I like to ask. We get a lot of people on the show that have they're in the health and fitness industry. We just spoke to a guy. We've done a couple of interviews today. Spoke to a guy who deals with people that have psychological issues with eating, and I like to kind of ask people like yourself who deal with clients and help them day to day. Like, tell us a story about somebody that you've positively impacted, you've changed their life, and how it kind of felt. You know, like what's a real good news story from your day to day?
There's so many. That sounded really pompous and arrogant, by the way. Let's just call that shit out. I'm sorry. There's so many lives that I've changed.
Well, all right.
It's not what I meant at all. But no, there's like, I feel like there's that happens like a lot, because it's just what I like to do with my clients is I don't do personal training anymore. Mm-hmm. I do more, life coaching, for lack of a better word, but I call it soul alignment coaching, because I really try to help people get in connection with their truth and what they are here for, their purpose, and make life a little more clear to them. And so I think that a lot of times people come to me and they have these really ingrained beliefs about what their life is supposed to be, who they're supposed to be, how they're supposed to eat, how they're supposed to work out, how they're supposed to look, all of those things. And I think the most rewarding thing for me is seeing when that shifts for people, seeing when people start becoming happy with the way that they look, no matter what shape they're in, when they start becoming more gentle on themselves if they have eating disorders and they eat something that was a trigger food before, and they're able to eat it without overeating it, without judging themselves for it, and at least bring themselves back to the present. And when they're able to do something physically that they weren't able to do before, that they thought they'd never be able to do because they weren't an athletic kid or something like that. So I think that it's evident all over the place. I don't think that there's one specific story that I'd feel comfortable sharing, just because of I like to keep it really private between me and my clients. And if they were to tell that story, I don't want them to be outed or anything like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I think that it's just in the little things. And I think that we so often discount those little shifts that we have. I know I was just talking to a client yesterday about this, that she discounts these little tiny shifts that she has. She was like, it's not a big deal, but I just felt like it was a little bit easier. And I was like, that is huge, because that little bit easier adds up over time, and it becomes a complete shift of a belief that you had.
All those little 5%ers that end up, that you implement and make a routine become 30% happier person, which is like you can't quantify it, but but I understand. I know
it all adds up though.
Yeah, I really know what you mean. Do you have a particular routine that you go through day by day with yourself, Amy? For example, myself and Tommy, we pretty much have the same morning routine. We've kind of been, hanging out and working together, and so just too much that we've morphed into just the one person. So it's a cold shower followed by gratitude journal and meditation. Basically, that's in any kind of order for me anyway. Yep. That's how I like to start the day. Do you have anything that you like to make sure that you kind of tick off throughout the day to keep yourself where you need to be?
Oh, definitely. I have a morning routine too. It's really important to me. So I get up, pee, meditate, spiritually connect, make breakfast. I have to make breakfast because it's part of my healing from my eating disorder. And I still don't like to do it, but I make myself do it. And that's recovery. And then coffee. I mix up coconut oil in my coffee because my naturopath says I'm not allowed to have just regular coffee anymore. All of these things. See, recovery all over the place. Yeah. And then throughout the day, I make sure to take a lot of breaks. I take a lot of breaks throughout my work, because if I'm just in front of my computer writing all day, because that's most of what I do is I write, programs for clients. I write for my site, a lot of that. If I don't take breaks, I just go into isolation mode, and it's just, it's like a magnet for me. It's my default, and I really have to fight that. I really have to actively, consciously think about, okay, I need to call a friend today and I need to set up a time to meet, because all of those old voices come back and like, oh, maybe you should just watch 5 hours of TV instead. Maybe you should just not talk to anybody today because it's comfortable to be by yourself. So I make myself take breaks. I make myself reach out to people. And then at night, I make time to connect with my husband for sure. It's really important for us. And I have tea before I go to bed. That's pretty much it.
Cool.
I like it.
I like how you threw in the pee part.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I was like, oh, well, cool. Didn't need to know that part. But,
it's important.
We have to
if
say
that's
it
part of your
before anything else.
Yeah. Well, if we had to go down that path, well, I actually start the day with a nice big poo, and then I'll gratitude journal. That was a really nice poo, actually. I'm very, very grateful for that.
Very
poo.
thankful for the fibre. Very thankful for the
real,
fats.
and everybody pees and poops. So
Yeah.
Well, I don't. That's
let's
disgusting.
break the stigma around peeing and pooping, shall we?
Yeah, cool. That sounds great. So, I like how you said that you connect with, you try and connect with friends, because that's something that I need to do more of, because I get cooped up, same thing, at my desk. I work crazy hours for the most part. I go to the gym. That's normally my happy place. So I do still, I still get around people from time to time, but I need to always push myself to connect with my friends, because I can go really quite easily without me noticing, go a week without seeing anyone, apart from like getting into the gym, and which I do throw some banter around, catch up with some people, so on and so forth. But actually making time, I tried to set a goal to catch up with one friend once a week. And me and Tommy, before we started the podcast, used to have dinner on a Tuesday night. Lamb shanks.
Thursday night. Yep.
Thursday night lamb shanks.
And then we both subsequently pay.
Yeah. And but I think that's a really it's a kind of often forgotten point when people get so busy in their lives to make time for their friends and family. Well, for me it is anyway. So it's very kind of inspirational, or just it's a good reminder to make sure that you're getting around the people that love you and that you love the most, because I think it makes such a difference to your mindset.
Totally does. And especially with like our age of like being on computers all day, we could say that we're talking to friends all day long because of social media. Yeah. But we're not.
We're not at all.
The human, the reality of being human is that we need the connection. We need the in-person connection.
Yeah, that's right.
Definitely.
All right, cool. Should we 6 from 6 at time?
Sure.
Oh, I might just quickly ask before we go to 6 from 6, Amy, what's kind of what's your dream for yourself for your business? Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years?
Oh, that's always a hard question. I'm on the brink of a lot of big changes with my site and with who I am, and starting to talk about more stuff and shed more light on some stuff that's been in the dark for a while. So that's going to come to light here pretty soon on Strong Inside Out. And I definitely want to teach more. I'm so looking forward to my retreat in May. I'll give you guys the link to that for your show notes if you want.
Absolutely.
And I want to do more in-person events, because I really do realize that I am better served in person, whether that's speaking or teaching in person, coaching. When people have me to their retreats and stuff, I'm just so filled by that. So I see myself doing more in-person stuff. I see myself doing more panels, a lot of that kind of stuff, and just talking about stigma, talking about being open and vulnerability, and how we can be so strong in our vulnerability.
Cool.
I like it.
All right. Well, we might just go to 6 from 6. So that's 3 questions from me, 3 questions from Tommy. My first question is, Amy, what's your favourite travel destination on the planet? Something that you just love?
Oh, I love Chiang Mai, Thailand. I went there for my honeymoon, and it's just so magical.
All right. Awesome. I like it. So what's the next question for me is, what is your dream destination? Somewhere that you haven't been that you just can't wait to tick off your bucket list?
Well, my husband and I are travel hackers, so we've been to our dream destinations. But somewhere I'm looking forward to doing is we're actually doing Europe again in this new year. And we're going to go to Amsterdam, and I've never been there before. So that's really exciting.
Party, yeah.
We'll see.
And lastly, do you have a book that you like to recommend to people? Something that's really positively impacted your life? Can be fiction, can be an autobiography, can be a autobiography. Can be it can be, I suppose.
Can be your own
somebody
book.
else's autobiography. Can be any sort of book. Anything that you recommend?
Yes. One of my most life-changing books that I've ever read is Women, Food, and God by Janine Roth. It really started shifting my mind towards more of the intuitive eating approach instead of the shame, guilt, binge approach.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Awesome. Tommy, you're up.
Cool. Hey, Amy, what's something you like to do when you have some downtime, some spare time?
Well, my new favorite hobby is Taekwondo. I joined because I want to be able to do everything that Daredevil does on the Netflix show.
Nice.
So my goal is to do like all the flips and tricks and stuff like that. I think that's just so awesome. And I'm like a 5-year-old boy basically. But it's really funny because in my Taekwondo classes, I am the oldest by like 20 years. And it's kind of hilarious. But except for the parents that are there. They're like, oh, is this your kid go here? I'm like, no.
It's just me.
I'm a child.
At least you can beat up on everyone.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
All the
that's
kids.
true.
King of the kids. Oh, yeah, you want to fight?
Yeah.
You want to fight? Yeah?
Fuck you up.
I could take you.
You want to fight?
No, the
little
sad
girl?
thing is they could probably kill me is the sad thing.
Yeah, cool.
Cool. Okay, so how about a big inspiration, someone you look up to?
I really look up to, well, one of my mentors along this journey has been Gabby Bernstein, and she really changed my life so tremendously. I also really look up to Danielle Laporte.
Daniel Laporte, I don't know who that is.
She used to have the site called White Hot Truth. She developed the Desire Map.
Okay.
She's just an amazing, gorgeous writer and just sticks so close to her truth, which is just so inspiring to me.
Cool. All right. And finally, if you could invite 3 people, dead or alive, to dinner, who would they be and why? And your family can already be there. Family, husband, or little kids.
Okay. I think so. Chris Pratt is hilarious.
Nice.
I would go with him. Bruce Lee, that would just be so.
Yeah.
So
Bruce Lee
cool to
today.
meet him.
One of our last shows with
Yeah, we
Bruce Lee,
had
didn't
Bruce
we?
Lee just last night. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's taken.
You
Nah, it's all
good
good.
guess.
Maybe we could combine tables.
Yeah, we could just get a big table. Yeah.
Just do a dinner party.
Yeah, I'd be keen.
And I think Amy Schumer. I think it'd be really cool to talk to her.
Nice.
Yeah, cool.
We haven't had Amy Schumer, yeah. Cool. All right. Well, finally, Amy, anything you want to plug? Social medias? Where can people find you? What's coming up?
So you can find me across the board on social media at Strong Inside Out. I'm mainly on Instagram, Facebook, and I'm a little bit on Twitter. You can definitely reach out to me on Twitter if you want, and I'll get back to you very soon.
Cool.
And what I'm looking forward to is just taking my clients from Strong Inside Out Bootcamp into the new year. That's my workout program for depression and anxiety. And my Activate Courage retreat, which is in May, and that's going to be in Costa Rica. And we're taking Kate Marolt, who is my soul sister, and me are taking 16 women there. And we're filling up pretty fast. So if you are interested, please do reach out.
Awesome.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show, Amy.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun, guys.
Awesome.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, that's a wrap. Alrighty, guys. Thanks for listening. If you're a first-time listener of the show, please go ahead and subscribe. It would help us greatly. If you're a many-time listener of the show, go ahead and leave us a rating and review. Both of these things help us climb the ladders of iTunes, help us get recognised more, help us get more sponsors so we can keep this thing alive and keep bringing you guys awesome content. So anything that was in the show that you want to look back on, head to www.adventurefittravel.com/radio. All the show notes are in there. And don't forget to head to www.audible.com/ADVF to get your free audiobook and free first month. carve.ph/ADVF to get 10 hours free on any project, and adventurefittravel.com. Check out all of our trips. If you're interested in getting a trip yourself for free, get yourself a gang together and email us and we'll make that happen. See you next week.
Discovery Roger, go for deploy.